Have you ever felt like your retriever might not turn out like you hoped for it to? We get it. The truth is, training a retriever isn't simple, but it doesn't have to be hard. On the Build From Here podcast, you're going to hear real stories from real people who used to be stuck with their retrievers, but are now confident they're on the right path to training their dog successfully. Welcome to the Build From Here podcast. On this episode, it's my great honor to be introducing you to CGA member Matt. Matt's been with us for some time, but has had an incredible experience thus far. In fact, when he sent in his story, I was truly blown away. I think his story tells us what we all know about dogs, and it's just you don't recognize it until you just know it. If you've got a dog, you'll experience this, but it just changes your life on so many different ways. When you go through this journey of training a dog, it makes your life better, your relationships better, everything gets better. And so that's what I love about this story is it's an incredible story, really, of redemption and just a story of what's possible if you get out there and you find something you're passionate about and pour your passion into it. So Matt, welcome aboard. So glad you're here. And really, again, we're honored to have you share your story with us.
Well, thank you very much, Josh, and good morning. Thanks for having me on. So, I definitely am a fairly strong believer that finding your program, I found it through the internet, but it was a good time in my life to stumble across Cornerstone Gun Dog. Just for backstory about, I guess, how I got into like retrievers and whatnot. I grew up in New England, and the first dog my family got was a golden retriever. So I was probably I think I was in seventh grade. Loaded up. I had five brothers and sisters. I have a twin brother, younger brother, and then two younger sisters. And they said we're going to church on Sunday, and it was a super snowy morning, and they just drove right past church, and everyone was getting excited, like, oh, maybe, we've been begging my mom to get a dog for a while now, and my youngest sister was finally old enough that she felt like she could probably help do it, because my youngest sister's about 9 years younger than me. So kept driving out into the countryside and, ended up going home with a golden retriever that day. We named her Sunday and had her for about 14 years. She passed away, I think it was 2017. So she had a nice long life. Wasn't a hunting dog. We didn't grow up hunting. My grandfather had like a hunting accident when my dad was about 2 years old, so he got rid of all the guns. That's what my grandma made him do. So grew up spending lots of time playing in the woods. Probably did a decent amount of archery growing up, especially in Michigan. We would spend summers up there. My grandparents live up in northern Michigan, so spent a lot of time on the water. Water skiing and canoeing and doing lots of camping trips. Definitely got into backpacking after that, and eventually made it out to Colorado when I was 27. My twin brother and we lived in New York City for a while and kind of just got tired of walking over needles and everything. I was living we lived in a really crappy apartment in Queens, and came out with no job. We sold elevators in New York City and just quit on the same day and drove out to the Rocky Mountains and ended up becoming pretty big ski bums for a couple years and really, partied really, really, really hard, harder than I did in college probably. It was just like a never ending party out here, especially when you're in the whole ski industry when, I don't know, all you do is we taught ski lessons all day and you got off and it was like, let's go get a beer and kind of just super fun time, just not really sustainable. But my younger brother, when I probably in 2018, he decided to get another golden retriever named Haley. She was an awesome dog. He rescued her from eastern Colorado. Uh, Lots of upland hunting out there. We actually rescued her like from a farm. Pretty sure that she was so gun shy. We kind of figured that that's probably why they got rid of her because she'd already like had some basic training down, like my brother definitely taught her some stuff. But yeah, she was just a supernatural. I'd never seen a dog that had a drive like her. So that was really really cool. We took her on a lot of, like, backcountry skiing adventures and whatnot, and she loved going down the lake, whitewater rafting. She was just an awesome dog. Um, and then in 20, what was it? Probably 2022, I was living with my younger brother, and he decided he was going to move out. So I was pretty heartbroken that I was going to lose this dog in my life. So I kind of, yeah, it was like I was really upset. Probably more upset that my brother was moving out and about losing her. So that's when I really started, like, doing some serious research about, like, all right, well, I know I'm going to get a golden retriever, but I really kind of wasn't. I just started, like, digging into, like, all right, what kind of training program can I do? About 6 months before he was going to move out, I actually quit drinking. So that was something I've been battling, ever since I started when I was probably 17. Just a lot of bad decisions, a lot of broken relationships. Definitely drove my mom crazy. She was always kind of putting a little bug in my ear, like, when are you going to grow up? Like, especially because me and my twin brother just fed off each other. You know, um, I lived with him till I was, like, probably 30, 31, and then moved into a town home with my younger brother. So yeah, I just those first 6 months was like a pretty big journey. I just starting to all of a sudden get this clarity in my life, and it's amazing how much time you find that you have when you're not just battling yourself every morning. Because I just all of a sudden was like, man, I kind of felt like I could do anything. I finally quit my job that I'd had for 4 years that I wasn't really happy with. Um, I was selling elevators for a smaller company in Colorado. I was successful at it, but it wasn't necessarily rewarding. So I I was one of the things. I'd always kind of thought about hunting ducks and stuff, been like, oh, I want to get into hunting, but it was like, oh, I can't. I couldn't really ever thought I could actually do it. Um, so I actually had applied for I got in hunter safety that year, and I had applied for my first big game tags. They got a lot of elk hunting and deer hunting out here, so I knew I was going on my first elk hunt that November. But I just the more I read about dog training programs, I came across Cornerstone Gun Dog, and I was really drawn to the fact that it was the whole positive reinforcement, rapid reward, like, and the fact that it didn't involve shocking your dog. Like, I read a lot about Force Fetch, but the reviews I read about the program that you helped create with 52 Plus just really seemed like the way to go. Um, so I signed up for that before, and then right around that time, one of my neighbors, he found this little ad in a newspaper for golden retriever puppies getting delivered at Wendy's off the interstate on October 22nd of 2022. So I'm starting to get really excited, and I got your program, and I actually ended up connecting with the guy that had used your program in Silverthorne, Colorado, where I was living at the time. And I kind of started talking to him about, like, what he did. He actually used your program during COVID. So, and he had great success. So I was like, all right, this is it. Like, we're going to do this. I knew that just doing a little research, that golden retrievers, people in the Scottish Highlands, they had used them for waterfowl hunting for, like, I think what they started the breed like 120 years ago, I guess, or something. I don't know, but I was pretty excited about the plan I helped kind of created. So, I picked up Chief and immediately started with the program, like, from the very first day. And that's kind of like where I started out. So, um, what,
That's awesome, man. It I mean, that's just an incredible story. There's so much I want to unpack. I mean, even thus far, but I know we can get more into the training and kind of how that was part of your life. But I just wanted to clarify. You said that, so back, this is just for me personally, but you and your brother were working in New York City and then you quit. You decided that day you quit and then y'all literally got in your cars that day and then drove to Colorado. Is that what I was hearing?
Oh, well, well, from when we quit our job, like we drove out the next day. There was a little
That's
bit of a
awesome.
there was a yeah. I mean, we'd done a ski trip out to Colorado the February before, and like we hired a backcountry guide, and I just remember standing on top of the mountain up on Vail Pass, being like, "Man, I should just move out here." So yeah, we were able to make it happen, which was cool, and we did it together. He had to break up with the girlfriend first, uh, and
Y'all were cutting ties with New York City. You're getting out
yeah,
of there. That's awesome, man. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, no, yeah, yeah. Thank you. It was
I wanted to know that. I just thought that was a kind of a cool story. So you made your way to Colorado. Then
Mhm.
you kind of went on a journey there. Then you ended up getting the dog. What let me ask you this while we're on the subject. What made you decide to stop drinking? Like where did that decision come from? Is it something you knew you should have done for a long time or kind of what was
Ye-
the deciding factor there?
Oh yeah, I mean, um, I ruined so many relationships, especially like in my personal life, where it was starting to definitely be a pattern. Um, and this time, I just my now wife, I started just really realizing like I knew I was gonna lose her, and
Wow.
yeah, I kind of like some of her friends and kind of like my brother, like people were kind of telling me, and yeah, I just kind of listened to my gut or intuition. Um, I was actually in First Corinthians, it says like no temptation has seized you except what is common to man, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear, but when you're tempted, He'll also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it. So I just think that's a really good passage. I was actually reading that the day that you texted me because I've been trying to
No
live my
way.
yeah, I immediately marked it because I was like, man, like this is just kind of interesting, like because it really resonated with me. Because like you texted me at like 6:30 in the morning, like our time, but when I had filled out that little thing on share your experience, I wasn't really expecting you to reach out to me right away. But I just the path, the structure of the 52 plus program, that was my way out, kind of, like I really believe that like that helped solidify my sobriety journey when I
Wow.
when I started it. It was because I was probably about 6 months into my sobriety journey when I started the Cornerstone program, and going into winter, that was my first winter since I'd been living in the mountains. I'd probably been there 5 years now, just doing the same thing. Like, oh, it's ski season again. Like, and this time I didn't have my job because like I was a ski instructor the first 2 winters, and then went back to selling elevators. So now I actually went back to teaching free skiing for a nonprofit. Um, and I did that. I was doing that like every weekend. It was cool. I would work with the same group of kids. Like there was like 10 of them, and we just would go shred A base and Saturday and Sunday, and then I was driving for a limousine service during the week. So I I really had to carve out dedicated time for Chief. That's the name of my golden retriever. He's 3.5 years old now. So I would just between waking up at like 2 a.m., when they're a puppy, just we would go out. I think it snowed like the first night I got him, and he didn't even see grass till he was like 7 months old. So we,
Wow.
I'd have to suit him up in his booties and his jacket, and we lived on a little creek at the time, and we'd be out there like basically at dawn, like in the dark, like sometimes with a headlamp, like I built the little place board, and we just be working on place, and um, I just remember like be like -15 degrees outside and be like, all right. I only got to make it like 5 to 10 minutes. Like that's all we got to do. So that just building that in from the start was like really important, but it helped me like just have something to look forward to besides like skiing and partying. And I was immediately seeing like wins like right off the bat, like people complimenting you like on how well behaved your dog is just because you're training it. So many people don't train like so. That was like cool to get. And like I remember like one of the first times like I was like the intro to hand signals, like just being like, wow, I'm actually teaching my dog like some pretty cool stuff that I never really thought that I'd be able to do. So that was like from the very beginning, like I just thought that was really neat to see like some getting some quick wins. So
Man, that's so cool. Wow, I mean, that's the truth. When you get a dog, that definitely eats some of your time up, especially when you first get them at night. That would be kind
hmm
of hard to. That I could see how that would be a good motivation to keep going because you definitely didn't have time for anything else once you got that dog.
right.
Friends, family, work, dog, and
Mhm.
sleep.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean the, that was just the start of it, right? And then probably the first big hurdle we had was didn't take too long. I got him on like October 22nd, and it was like Thanksgiving. And my mom and my sister were out, and they decided to take him for the night because I was probably working or something. And they brought him to a Christmas tree lighting, and they didn't advertise it was going to have fireworks, but
Oh
uh,
no.
there was definitely a lot of fireworks apparently. And yeah, date my brother's dog Haley was there, and she's the one who's like super gun shy. So they were having to like pin her to the ground because she was like shaking so hard when the fireworks were going off. And I guess that Chief, like my sister, grabbed him because he was seeing how scared Haley was, and I
Oh
guess he
man.
he just like crapped all over her.
Oh, dude, that's
Yeah,
terrible. Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah. So I came home from work that night, and they had to tell me like, "Yo, there was an incident," and like I immediately was like, I thought he was ruined because I read plenty of stuff about like dogs being born gun shy, or they're not born gun shy, they're made gun shy, right? So I was like, oh man, he's screwed up. Like, how am I going to fix this? So I started you know probably made the mistake of spending too much time on Google, which I actually gave up for Lent. I'm trying to get through the next 40 days without going on Google. But yeah, I was like, I started trying. Some guys, like they feed their dogs outside when they have like some land, and they'll like shoot off a starter pistol or whatnot while they're feeding. Well, that wasn't a good idea to do inside in a house because it amplifies really loudly. So I did that a couple times, and that was pretty dumb. And, and, and then I think I called you. I got in contact with you, and I remember you called me one morning because I like reached out that I was like thought I developed this problem. And I just remember you telling me like, just focus on building trust with your dog. You got a long way till I think like week 27 or 28 in the program. And you're like, just focus on building trust with your dog. And by the time you get there, you'll be fine. So I stopped doing all that stuff that I was doing and just focused on the program. Um, and that was definitely some really good advice. So thank you. Yeah. So, and it was around this time too. This was probably, so this was going on to like the heart of winter. And also, my other brothers I also this is also when I started like probably my return to prayer again regularly. I started to get more into prayer because one of my younger brother, he was like probably gonna like the way he was drinking was probably gonna kill himself. So just yeah, so that was all going on at the same time. And that winter, my twin brother actually quit drinking too. And we actually ended up, we had a really great hunting season this past year because he started going out with me a whole bunch. We'll go out before work now. So it's been really cool to like develop that passion together with him. But anyways, that was all going on at the same time, and I remember like vividly waking up in the middle of the night because I just had I was dealing with this thing like where I would just kind of feel it like in my chest or like just kind of something that wasn't going away, like this thing like it ended up being as simple as like basically asking forgiveness from my brother because I kind of like was beating myself up for feeling like responsible for his problems kind of think because I wasn't the best role model, you know. I probably taught him how to do some of this stuff, you know. But um in 2 Corinthians 12 it says the Lord said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. So I was feeling so like kind of defeated there. But the minute I remember waking up in the middle of the night, like, it was like dark. It might have been, I don't think it was by candlelight, you know, but I wrote a letter to my I wrote a letter to my brother and sent it to him and kind of got everything like off my chest. But like even like from the moment I put that like letter in the mail to him, like I just like I haven't really felt that feeling ever again. It just kind of disappeared, you know. So like it's just like kind of like demonstrates how like with human weakness it can provide like the ideal opportunity um, for a display of like divine power, kind of, you know, like
Wow.
so that yeah. So ended up my brother Dave actually like that spring was able to finally beat his addiction too. So that was all that was just like and all along this time I'm training chief every day, you know, trying to like build it up for this. I knew hunting season started in October, right? Out in Colorado. So um and then also at the same time, right around this time I decided to buy a house with my now wife too. So we like it's kind of funny, like I kind of felt like the universe was kind of collapsing around me, so to say, from the changes that I was making, which was you kind of hear people talk about that, but I actually believe that it happens when you start to make the right changes. So but we finally decided to leave the ski country, the whole ski town area, and moved about 30 minutes north out into the country to like a cattle town basically called Kremling. There's only like 1,400 people here, but it's really cool because there's like BLM land all around us. So I was super stoked about having plenty of land to train chief on. Especially, I remember thinking like, man, where am I going to shoot this launcher at without people calling the cops? You know. So, because anyway, yeah, you know, lots of people in the ski town. Like, I just knew it wasn't gonna be easy. But it's great up here. There's like multiple rivers. You know, we got the Blue River, the Colorado River, and then Muddy Creek up here. So there's plenty of places to go to do a bunch of good training. So, um, yeah, that summer, it would just align right. We moved up here in May, and I every morning I go out in 5 minutes I could be at BLM land. And I remember the second big hurdle that me and Chief hit was with the line memory. You know, some dogs have drive, and he just doesn't. He doesn't have prey drive. I had to like really teach it to him. So I would, you know, every morning I wake up super early and go out there in the field, and I would just walk. You know, like we must have walked miles. Like, oh, that was too far. Let's bring it back to 10, 15 yards, you know? Like I wanted to just get to 100 so bad so I could introduce the launcher because I just thought it was going to like so cool, right? And I just had this thing in the back of my mind too. I didn't know if he was going to be gun shy still, you know, from the fireworks incident. That was always in the back of my mind like, man, I wonder what's going to happen, you know? So and so that June we went on a road trip to drive to Michigan to see my family, and then drive to Rhode Island to see Danielle's family. And we like planned out all these hip camp spots along the way so we could just camp out of the back of my truck. And I brought all the training stuff with me. So I mean, we trained in like Seneca, Nebraska. We trained out in like Monroe, South Dakota. We'd be at these campsites, and I would just have everything set up, trying to push him a little bit farther. And the one guy at, I think it was called like Uncle Bob's Farm or something out in South Dakota. He was like saw me training with Chief, and he's like, "Man, your dog listens really good." So that was cool to get a compliment from a guy. I mean, he had all of his dogs running around. He tried to give me a cattle dog. He's like, "You want him for 600?" By the end of the time, I trying to give him to me for $50, and I was like, "No, I don't need another dog right now, dude." So then we got out to Michigan, uh, and I remember it was the Door. I think we were in Door County, Wisconsin, out on the Door Peninsula, and that's where he did his first water retrieve because we camped out on some creek or whatever. So that was cool, and then we worked more on swimming up there, up in Michigan on the lake. Just working on water retrieves, just because we had access to water finally. That was like every day, and with Haley was a great retriever. Like she could like go fetch my brother's dog Haley, right? She could go retrieve for like 2 hours straight. It was insane. So people would be like, "When are you gonna tell her to stop?" And it's like, she's having fun, man. Like, and then we got out. I remember we got out to Rhode Island, and that's where we kind of hit another hurdle because they had some crazy heat wave where it was like 86 degrees at 8 a.m. 100% humidity. You guys are probably used to that out in Alabama, but being from the mountains with Chief, like him being used to that, like his drive was just he didn't want to train at all. I would be going out to these like fields trying to find places to train him. I remember like one time someone called the cops showed up because they're like, "You're not allowed to have a dog off leash." It was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get out of here. And so anyways, I just don't think he had anything to do that day. But um I remember, I think I reached out to Abigail because, I was having a lot of issues where I'd send him. We were probably at like up to like 50 or 60 yards by now. And he would just kind of stop and turn around and like almost forget what he was supposed to be doing, kind of. So I would like, sometimes I'd go out, walk him back, or like heel him out and stop him and then send him, or like take a step forward and give him the back command. So we were like working through it, but it just was like, Abigail was like, "You probably just need to take like a week off and just stop if he's not really feeling it." And I did that. We drove back to Colorado, and by the time we got back out there, I set up, and he just kind of finally got it. It finally worked out where I felt like he was gonna. I finally felt like, all right, we can finally get to the gunfire introduction. I think it was probably late August, so I knew that hunting season was coming up. So yeah, we went out. I went out with my now wife, and she helped me introduce the gunfire, and it went good. No
Wow.
problem. Yeah, when you start out at the 100 yards and work your way forward, so that was just a big weight off my shoulders with that. So
Yeah, that's got to feel good because I mean that was a huge question mark you were carrying that whole entire time.
yeah, yeah. So he's good now too. I mean, when he sees where the noise is coming from. But we actually live really close to a sportsman's club. I mean, you can hear the gunshots from our deck. And sometimes, like, when you get, like, if we go on a hike kind of near it and he doesn't see, like, the noise happening, he could still sometimes get a little skittish. So that's just something I've learned about my dog, It's just, like, who he is. But as long as, like, he knows, like, you're in the hunting mode or whatever, like, it's fine now. So,
Wow.
but, but, so yeah. So yeah, that first season, I think I took him out on his first hunt up near Steamboat. There's a reservoir there, and went out, and probably had just been focusing so much on the launcher. I didn't necessarily train with like live birds at all because I'd never hunted before, So uh, we went out there, and at dawn, I was with my buddy, and we got a bird down on the water and sent him for his first retrieve. And I was like, oh man, like he's going straight out at it. This is perfect. And he swam a circle around it and came back to shore. I was like, oh, man, this sucks because like this is the first duck I ever shot, and it's kind of like floating out a little bit. So I was like, well, I gotta go get that. So I had to strip out of my waders and everything, and I swam out in my boxers and got it. And it was pretty cold. Uh, so
I bet it was. I bet it
luck,
was.
yeah, luckily it got up. The sun was just peeking up over the reservoir at that point. So luckily it warmed me up, and we stayed out there and hunted for another couple of hours. Didn't get anything else that day, so I got the only retrieve that day. So, but I still felt like it was a win because I'd at least gotten my dog some action. He'd been around gunfire in a hunting situation, and I just was like, all right, definitely got to do a little bit more work here. So I, kept use the wing feathers, right, and tied those to some dummies, right, and we just started doing a lot more drills with that to get him used to picking up and get like that different feeling in his mouth, right. So we went out. Next time we went out hunting, and the next time we got a bird down, I decided to this time we weren't in a reservoir. Well, we were, but it was an area where it was kind of flooded through with it was kind of like a channel. So it was only like, I don't know, 15 yards across where we had set up. And I kept the check cord on this time and kind of waded into the water with him and gave him the command like dead bird, like chief. And he went out, and I kind of waded out up to my knees next to him while still holding on to it, and he got the bird and brought it back to me. So just kind of being a little bit closer to him, we got a good win that day. And that was the first time I can remember him retrieving a bird correctly, so to say, right, even though I was there with him, right. But that felt really sweet to actually, at that point I was getting pretty pumped. So yeah, that was great feeling. So yeah, we
Yeah, I
just
mean, the journey is amazing, and every dog's journey is different. And y'all overcame some serious challenges with the gunfire stuff. So, but that I love the story so far, man. As you're just talking about, you kept kind of coming up on a challenge, but you just kept kind of plodding along, and then you would overcome it, and then keep going from there, and it just gets better. So
yeah,
that's the story of dog training. It
yeah,
takes time, takes effort, but you can get there if you keep at it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we had probably I don't know, we went out to December of that year probably. um our last retrieve, probably, I think it was December 7th that year. And I remember because I took a pretty cool picture of it. It was 17 degrees out, and my buddy actually shot a golden eye that was pretty far out on the lake. And Chief swam out in a straight line 40 yards and brought it back. And that's when we decided to call the season that year because the ice was starting to form and everything. But that was a great way to end that first season on a win. And so yeah, so then did a lot of training the next throughout the next year. Um, One of the things I did is I kept some birds in the freezer, and we would do work in the backyard with that, just trying to dial in, getting him used to handling actual birds. And that set us up for really good success the next year. Um, Pretty early on, I think we were out hunting on the Colorado, and he actually got his first triple retrieve where I was actually good enough to actually shoot some birds for him for once. I remember I was by myself this time, so some of the best growth I have as a duck hunter myself is when I would just go out by myself. You learn what works. You're not relying on anybody else. But I remember jumping up out of the blind where where we were hiding, and just my hand was like shaking. I was so excited. Like I was like, go get that one first, and then giving him the over command, like, go get that one now. That one's about to go down the river, buddy. And he got them all, and it was pretty sweet. So that was like pretty early towards the start of our second season. And then just kind of a funny story because it turned out okay, but I learned that you have a whistle around your neck for a reason, right? Because the whistle stop is a pretty important move. Um, I went out one morning. I was on the Blue River, and I remember there was a hunter set up down in the corner, and then I was set up more towards the point where there's a confluence of some rivers with the Colorado, and I shot the first duck in the morning. I shot a mallard, and it landed around the shore, and he brought that one back, and it was -2 degrees this morning that we were out there, and it's cool because like all the mist is coming up off the water, and because it hasn't started to freeze over yet because it was still November. And I was like, well, we could probably get another one. Like, I don't like to keep them out too long when it's that cold, but I shot another one, and it went all the way across the other side of the river. And I hadn't done a whole lot of pushing across water drills, but I sent Chief, and he went all the way across the water. And then he started to kind of have like a celebration party, right? Where he's rolling around like next to the duck, and I'm like, oh shoot, like, and
I never heard it called that before, but I love it. A celebration party. Yeah, that's a good one
yeah,
right there. That's good.
yeah, he's just like rolling around like, oh, I'm next to the duck, and like I was trying to tell him to like fetch, and he wasn't listening, and I made the mistake of not using the whistle at all. I was like, oh, I'll just go help him. So I decided to like try to safely cross that river, and it got pretty deep pretty fast. And next thing you know, it flooded my waders,
Ooh.
and I made it across the river. And I'm like, man, this really sucks. So, and right when I got there, the duck took off swimming back towards the side of the river that I just come from, and Chief starts chasing it, and like now we're basically both swimming after this duck together. And
Oh my goodness.
yeah, dude, and this other hunter must have thought that I was the biggest idiot ever because he's watching the whole thing. So
Oh
we ended up
man.
we got that duck, and I went home and sat next to the fire the rest of the day. Right, my yeah, and I have not made that mistake again because it's like you train a dog to do something. It's like just remember to use the whistle. So that was my fault, and this this year actually we were hunting on the Colorado River again, and we had a couple scenarios where my favorite time to go hunting is for you got to be out there for legal shooting light because they're all coming into decoy. Um, your best chance for them to come into decoy because they don't always do it out here in the mountains for sure. But yeah, we got some ducks that went across the river, and this time when Chief swam out, and I would give him the hunted up whistle that we've worked on quite a bit, which I think that's one of the coolest things when you can send a dog in for a blind retrieve and then they can sniff it out, flush it back up into the river. And he did that perfectly on one of our first hunts this year, and it was just felt awesome to have corrected that issue. So, but yeah, I'm not retrieving ducks anymore. So,
Wow.
but,
What a
so
journey. So you were
yeah,
saying that the next year he swam across again, but then he found a way to push them back in the water and then get them if
yeah,
they're still alive.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we focused on that too. There's some places by my house where I can easily throw marks across the water and just get him used to pushing across the water and then not get distracted and come back. So it just comes down to like, you just got to practice, right? And I mean, it all if you don't build that foundation, like, you can't expect him to be able to do it, right? But it's just if you just once you figure out what issues you're having, and we've been able to work out work out and correct that. So that's been pretty sweet. And yeah, now we actually, my other brother, my younger brother that I've talked about a little bit, he has a 1 year old black lab now, and her her mom was actually a hunting dog, so she's got some really great natural prey drive. I mean, she's probably, I've been helping him train her, and she's probably around like week 25 now. So we're getting pretty
Wow.
close to introducing um, gunfire with her any week now, and he just got his hunter education done about 2 weeks ago. So this coming year, I think all three of us will be able to go out together, which will be really sweet. So
Dude,
she's been,
that's incredible.
yeah, no, it's been really fun, and just getting into this hobby of duck hunting, which I didn't grow up with, but I just look forward to it. I'm already looking forward to next year right now. So, and it'll be really cool to do that together as a family. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's amazing. And two dogs are well, so Haley's still gun shy, so she won't be out there, I imagine.
Well, she actually, the reason he got Abby is because she sadly passed away about a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like a freak thing where it just came on super fast. I think it was meningitis that
Oh
we did.
man,
Yeah, she was 7 years old, and it just like boom.
man.
So yeah, but he got this other dog afterwards. Chose not to get a golden, but I mean, this black lab is something else, man. Like, it's making me think about if I want to get another dog to have Chief help train it again for my um. But yeah, I'd have a hard time not getting a golden, but just seeing like the natural prey drive. I mean, Abby will go out like in a straight line so much fast. Chief kind of like, he'll just kind of go out wagging his tail, like do what you tell him to do, but there's not a sense of urgency, right?
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a golden retriever. But yeah, she just goes out lightning fast. Like we would spend hours trying to craft his hold, the fetch, hold, release training, and she's out there just picking up the big old dock and dummy perfectly, bringing it back. Like, it's like, yeah, it's just every dog's different, right? So
100%. Man, that's what a journey. So you and I guess you'd never trained a dog before prior to your pup.
no,
Wow.
no, and no. So, but this is giving me a lot of confidence now to be able to, yeah, just feel like you can do whatever you set your mind to, right? I mean, so
That's
you,
all. Did I and I may have missed it. Did the dog get you into hunting or had you started some hunting before and then you got a dog?
no, I decided that I was going to get into it once I kind of, found that I had all this kind of free time now. It's like you can actually do the things that you've like, kind of always thought about doing. And my cousin who lived out here in Colorado near us, she had grown up going on duck hunts to Louisiana. So I'd heard about she'd always had cool stories and stuff talking about the dogs. So when I had decided that I was going to get a dog, because my brother was moving out with Haley at the time, I was like, I'm gonna get a hunting. I'm gonna train it to be a hunting dog. So I decided that when I had started researching the programs and whatnot. So
Nice.
yeah.
Man, what a journey. That's incredible. What does your wife think about all this? Was she along for it sounds like she was along for the ride on all this as well, learning
Oh
the
yeah.
training and everything. So what has she enjoyed the process? Has she helped you any or has it been more of your
Oh yeah.
project?
Yeah. No, she helped out, especially like with some of like the further retrieves and stuff, and like throwing blinds. She'd go out there with me a little bit, and then um, she definitely just loves how well trained he is. We have another dog that she rescued a number of years before I met her, and that dog is just not as trained. It's so it's just, yeah. She she definitely is appreciative of what the program has provided. And she definitely, like, we always, like, one of the things that helped is like every time that one of us would take a walk with him when he was younger is like just having that slip lead. That definitely was a really big tool from the beginning to like teach heel work, you know. So she was really helpful with not slacking off and just using a retractable leash or whatnot, you know. So she's
That's
helped with that.
awesome.
So
That's I love it, man. I just love everything about the story. That celebration party thing was cracking me up, but that was cool that y'all overcame that challenge as well. And so, what are you thinking about for this next season? Is there anything you're working on, kind of prepping to improve,
uh,
or you feel like y'all have got to a place now where y'all are really kind of solid on those retrieves?
I'm feeling like pretty solid on retrieves. I think the big thing is like working on honoring and just probably just dialing into like a lot of mock hunts with my brother's dog, because as the couple stories I've talked about where if I didn't actually work on something, you know, there's nothing more frustrating than when you're out there in the field working through something. So I think like I see that like we're definitely going to want to do that. So we got all summer once the ice melts to do that, you know. So definitely that's going to be a priority. So and then you
Nice.
know working on shooting too. That's
We can always work on that. We all need to be better. Our dogs would appreciate it if we'd invest in that a little bit.
yeah. So the Sportsman's Club right across the street from where we live, I'm making a track team this year. So we're gonna do they do it like every Thursday night for like 4 months. So good camaraderie, and that'll be a good way to get out there and practice too. So
Well, that's great, man. Well, Matt, I appreciate you for just jumping on and just sharing your story. I mean, it's been an incredible story. And I would love to, keep following up as you go, especially this is a unique story in that, I feel like this has made a big impact. Just taking the time to go train your dog and, reconnecting with Jesus, and then all this journey happening at once, changing your life all at once. I feel like this has been an incredible story. In fact, that it's also kind of bled over into your brothers as well. Your passion, and it's really, your passion for this, I would imagine, inspired and encouraged them to kind of follow in your footsteps. It's just what an incredible story.
well,
I never thought, when we're videoing something like this would be happening. Truthfully, honestly, you just don't think about those things. We're thinking about dog training, but hearing your story and how it's impacted your life is what an incredible story. Wow.
thanks, man, and just the last little piece of, I mean, most recently, my dad just hit a year sober himself, so that's been just it just keeps on happening, you know, and now, um, yeah, it's just really cool that it's just good things continuing to happen. And if anyone out there is struggling, I just want to say, like, don't be afraid to ask God for a little help, because you might be surprised by His response. You just gotta be prepared to listen. So
Amen. It's a fine way to put it. It's true. And who knows, maybe that dog will come into your life, help you on the journey too. It's amazing how when you do ask, he does answer, and he's so faithful and he's good. And your story is a testament of it. So it's wow. That's
absolutely.
all I could say, man. I really am blown away. What? Let me ask you this. I like to ask all of the podcast stories that we get to celebrate this. But what would be kind of, if you had some advice for somebody getting into this, maybe in your shoes, that had never trained a dog before? What's some, one or two nuggets of just things you've learned along the way that you would share that you think could help them?
You just gotta have faith in your dog. I mean, and I remember like there was some point where like he was struggling at something, you know, and I would make comments to my wife like, "Oh man, I'm gonna have to get another dog," you know, like he's not gonna be able to do it, and like it really just like you just gotta keep on putting in the work, and it might sound cliche or whatnot, but I mean, I think we were stuck on the 100-yard line memory for 6 weeks, like, and you can if you just stay with it, you know, and like don't be afraid to take a few steps back, and like you'll get there. And one of the big things too, like don't mess around with the structure that you guys have created with the program about like you always want to try to end on a win, and then when you're when you're introducing new skills, like circle back, right, and like always start with something that they do something that they're good at during that training session too, right? To like just it just helps continue to instill confidence with your dog, right? And then one of the biggest things too is, I mean, yeah, for generalization. That's one of the when you're doing that, like go to different places because I mean, especially when you start going out and hunting on different places, like there's always different scenarios. If you just continue to go out and find other places to train, you can really just help strengthen your dog's ability to retrieve, right? So, yeah.
That's all good, man. That's all great advice. And Matt, let me just to say thank you again for hopping on. It's been my honor to get to share your story and encouraging. And I appreciate you for encouraging everyone out there too. Like you said, hey, if you're struggling, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. He's
Yeah.
always there and listening. All you got to do is ask. So
Right.
appreciate you, Matt, and I look forward to hearing more of your story. You got to maybe you got to make it out there to Colorado sometime. I'd love to see this with my own eyes.
Sweet, man. Well, we'll be here, and I pray that you and your team continue to reach out to people. And thanks for everything that you're doing to help people train amazing gun dog and just family dogs and companions. So thank you.